Billy Donovan is struggling more than ever as of late, and it may be time for him to step down from the NBA and go back to coaching at the collegiate level. He also has taken responsibility for things as of late, but is that going to be enough for him to maintain a job in this league? We're going to discuss all that in this episode of Bulls Digest. I'm your host, Joey Mercer, and before we get into things there today, I just want to say that about 95% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed, so if you aren't subscribed already, make sure to go down below, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the bell for notifications, and every time we upload a video, you'll be notified. You won't have to search for this content any longer, and we will be covering this, as I've mentioned many times before, 7 days a week to keep you updated with the Chicago Bulls, the team that we all love here. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First thing we're going to talk about today is Donovan struggling. So it's not hard to see that as of late he has had a lot of struggles, and this has led to a lot of speculation of him being fired or him just stepping down from the position. He did sign an extension not too long ago, and he is been with the Bulls now for several seasons. However, before the Bulls, he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and before that, he had spent a lot of time with Florida. And the university level, he had some great success, which leads a lot of people to believe that he just doesn't have what it takes to coach at the NBA level and is more suited for the collegiate level. The first thing I read in an article that piqued my interest on this was they got thumped by the 27 by the Celtics, who needed every point to advance into the quarterfinals. Bulls Billy Donovan might be a better X's and O's tactician than Joe Mazzulla. He's certainly more accomplished, but it had to be dispiriting to realize that it is what it's come to. Despite the NBA's attempt to create an NCAA tournament level atmosphere in November, Donovan can't coach this team into contention. Not every college coach who leaps to the pros is as fortunate as Celtics president Brad Stevens. Rick Pitino was previously the patron saint of get-back coaches, not the sideline coach responsible for keeping the head coach off the field, but the college to pros and get-back to college coaching pipeline. That's probably the only time saint as a descriptor for Pitino has been used. Donovan's impact on the pro game pales in comparison to his collegiate success. In nearly 2 decades as Florida's head coach, Donovan reached 3 Final Fours, winning it all twice, and was one of the sport's premier coaches in an obscure location. So well spoke there in the article that I read based on this, and Billy Donovan really should take a Rick Pitino route. Rick Pitino obviously came to the NBA to coach the Celtics, I believe, in 1997 and was let go in the early 2000s as things really weren't working out. And he goes back and joins at Louisville, and he has such a great career there back in college. Maybe that's the direction that Billy Donovan should go at in this situation. We could definitely get somebody better here on the Chicago Bulls immediately to coach this team in the direction that they need to go. We need somebody that can make adjustments, and maybe it just isn't too late to save this team from utter failure. Even if we go in a rebuilding direction, we need the right coach in place to do this, and I don't believe that guy is Billy Donovan. Now on to the next thing I read in this article. It said the past 8 years have been a roller coaster, though, and the association's digestive tract is spitting his distinguished career out as a carcass. NBA coaches come and go, but Donovan has an outlet option. We're only 16 games into the Bulls season, but Donovan needs to begin putting his feelers out there on the college level. Even if Jerry Reinsdorf opts to bestow him with another contract extension out of pure apathy, he should turn it down. The Bulls have been mired into mediocrity for most of the millennium. Throughout Donovan's stint, they've been a middling team at best with a misfit roster led by DeMar DeRozan, Zach Lavine, and Alex Caruso. At 5-14, they're losing altitude fast, leading up to what's beginning to look like a lackluster draft. This rebuild is going to take a while. Given their sluggish start, Lavine's impending free agency, the gloomy state of Lonzo Ball's right knee, and DeRozan's advancing age, it becomes apparent that this iteration of the Bulls is heading for a natural expiration date. Hard pill to swallow there in what was wrote, but not all is false. Vooch definitely should have been mentioned, maybe instead of Caruso. Caruso has been having a better year than Vooch, but Vooch is the guy that most people reference as being the quote-unquote big three in Chicago right now. But it is true, Lonzo Ball's knee, we don't know what's going to happen there. DeMar isn't getting any younger, and if we're going to get him help, it needs to happen right now, or we need to move on from his services, unless he's completely happy just dwindling out the rest of his career with the Bulls. We haven't been the best team of the millennium. The only real push we've had towards anything was with Derrick Rose in the beginning of the 2010s, and then he gets injured, and then we kind of stay in this level of mediocrity, and then finally fall apart when we trade away Jimmy Butler for Zach Lavine and Lauri Markkanen as a draft pick that year. I believe that was the 7th pick. And then we go down a road again where we try to do this rebuild and nothing really happens. So then we sign DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, and we make a trade for Vooch with Wendell Carter and some firsts, and then here we are again. Lonzo gets injured, DeMar's getting older, Lavine won't play defense, Vooch won't play defense, and everybody is up and down and doesn't remain any consistency. This isn't playing like a team right now, and we really need the Bulls to play like more of a unit. That isn't just Billy Donovan's fault, but he is the guy that could be making a lot of these adjustments on the court. Which leads me to the next topic of today. We have Donovan taking responsibility. So he's not one to shy away from the fact that it is also his fault for the struggles that the Bulls have had as of late. He actually came out and said it recently, and we covered that in a video a few days ago if you'd like to check that out, about how there's a lot of people on the defensive end not making the right rotations, and it's also his fault for not putting the right players out there or having the right players do the right things, not coaching them the proper way on how to close out in the three-pointers. That Brooklyn game was absolutely horrible to watch. It might have even been worse or just as worse as that Celtics blowout that happened just last night as I'm recording this. But this was the article that I saw on that, and this was the first thing that really threw me through a loop as far as Billy Donovan goes and what was said. It said, Arturas Karnisovas has spoken up about his disappointment in the team's performance. The players have expressed their frustration with the result, and head coach Billy Donovan hasn't been pleased either. Ahead of the Bulls' in-season tournament game against the Boston Celtics on Wednesday night, Donovan spoke about it. Interesting time to come out and speak about the struggles before their game against the Boston Celtics and an in-season tournament that you're already eliminated from. Instead of coming out and speaking about the struggles, I would like Billy Donovan to actually make some changes and maybe make more than just a lineup change of like Torrey Craig and Patrick Williams up and down every game. And maybe we can make some in-games adjustments that need to happen right there, right then, as opposed to letting things just dwindle off as the game goes on, or just happen to be that eventually the other team gets tired and we kind of pick up on that weakness, and whatever it may be on the court, you can't just let the players make all the decisions. We need to have fresh legs out there. That's one thing for sure, but you also need to put the stars out there with the right players and not run wacky lineups which set them up for failure, which has definitely happened so far this season. The quote from Billy Donovan that I saw was this: So if you got to see that quote there, it is interesting to see that he wants to do whatever he can to help and realizes that he doesn't have the ability as some of the higher ups in the Bulls staff and organization for that matter, but he hasn't done the simplest of things, and that's make in-game adjustments. I'm not seeing this happen, and it needs to happen right away. An adjustment isn't just putting a new player in. It could also be maybe a different game plan. Maybe they're doing something. Maybe it's not just 4 plays. Maybe it's not 4 different game plans that we have. Maybe you need to run through new things. Maybe there's time for change in practices. Something needs to change with Billy Donovan, and if he isn't stepping down, he needs to make a change right away because things just aren't working out in Chicago, and it's more than just the players. If you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that you did, make sure to go down below and like and comment on the video. And as always, this has been your host, Joey Mercer, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode of Bulls Digest.